Still the Place with Laura Layton,
Courtney Thorne-Smith,
and Daphne Zuniga, an iHeartRadio podcast.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
So good to see you.
So excited about this recap today. And we've all been like texting ahead of this going, oh my God, this episode was so fun.
Yes, episode 29. It is like full on Melrose.
I feel like we're into it. We're getting into the show. It's just so delicious.
Yeah. Well, because here we are at episode 29 of 32. I mean, already it's 29 episodes in one season of a television show. So a lot's happened and it's totally evolved into what we're finally seeing, like what we know and love or like recall about Melrose being Melrose.
Yeah. And normally this would be season 2, but because we went so long, we're still in season 1, but it is really heating up. I mean, this was exciting from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get started because there's so much in this episode.
Because clearly we all watched the same one. And
yes.
This is episode 29 for those who are following along. And it's called Pas de Trois, not just a pas de deux, but a pas de trois. And you will see why. There's, a couple threesomes for better or for worse in this episode. Charles Pratt, our favorite recent guest, wrote it. And Chip Chalmers directed. And it starts as we sweep into the courtyard over Scotty, our prop guy, who's cleaning the pool.
Yeah,
and
finally.
I'm just once and for all
Finally,
people,
it's not
Doug. It was never Doug.
It didn't look like Doug this time. It didn't look like Doug this time.
But this was officially Scotty. Like, I think we can. This is maybe when it turned when Scotty became the official pool guy. It's like he's at work anyway doing props, and they're like,
there's always those cool guys on crew, and Scotty was the cool guy. He was definitely one of the cool guys.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Yeah. And he's got his like regular work boots on, whatever. And like, it's perfect. Hey, could you just pick up this pool, sweep and just be in the shot? When I was watching the episode on Paramount Plus, which is where you can stream it, I looked at their little log line, like how did they describe this episode? And I was like, I didn't really think it matched totally. Oh. So I sort of wrote my own, it kind of like based on what they said, but like, I thought it was more accurate. And so mine was, Joe and Jake have a falling out over taxes. Michael and Kimberly hard launch their affair. And Amanda tries her hardest to get Billy back, but Billy resists. And it's a win for Alison.
Oh, that is excellent.
Much
Laura.
better than whatever they wrote. Much better.
Now, maybe it's more of a spoiler than the kind of log line that they like to write. Like they don't really reveal the end, but I've just revealed the end because I'm so excited about it.
I love it. That's a perfect intro.
Awesome.
So you know where we're going, people.
I do.
But, this episode starts with Joe and Jake in his apartment, and Jake is learning that he owes $8,400 in taxes.
And which, because this is my job here, is $20,000 in today's dollars. I did my research in advance.
Yeah.
And I was a lot of money.
I was all excited because, hey, where are the pink satin sheets and where's his bare chest? And they're not rolling around in the sheets with this opening as they usually are.
Let's talk. They're
talking
where's the nakedness?
Sexy taxes. That's what they're
super
doing.
Sexy taxes, but they're kind of like in different headspaces about this whole thing. And Jake ends up sort of offending Joe, who's doing the finances for the shop, and he's assuming that Joe must have made a mistake when she
and he's so rude. He says, "If you didn't know what you were doing, why didn't you just come out and say it?
I should have hired a real accountant."
That was so rude.
He wasn't really kind of being rude. He was being super uber rude.
Super rude.
Yeah.
He was, but in his also defense, Joe was being a little nonchalant about the whole thing. Don't you think? Like she was like, yeah, whatever, we owe all this money. That's taxes for you. Like, I'm like, wait, doesn't she have some stake in this? Like some investment? And she was a little bit like, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah, she was. She was very not feeling into his pain and fear of owing $800.
And she was super offended by how he assumed it was her mistake. So she leaves the scene in a huff and she says, you know what? Do your own books. Mm-hmm. And then we go to D&D where Amanda is continuing to torment Alison. This time she's sort of questioning whether Alison's doctor's appointment is a lie. And she claims she's just kidding. And then they're both called into Lucy's office.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hold the phone. Did you guys notice that for some reason I had a bouffant? Did you notice that my hair was like super high? I was like, what happened? Did I say I want a beehive today?
That's so funny. That? I didn't notice it because I noticed your hair later in the episode when it was kind of like kind of sleek and really, I don't know. I thought it was really kind of chic.
Well, I noticed in every scene, it was pre-smoothing hair products. Like we didn't have smoothing hair products in the 90s. So everything was sort of frizzy.
I feel like the whole episode, you were a variation of some up and some down like this. And you had that barrette, that classic Midwestern barrette in the back. And so, but the front was often like bouffanted.
Yeah, I was trying something new, and I'm not a fan of this whole hair period.
You had that Alison. Anne of Green Gables, some up and some down.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, Courtney. I just feel like you're so hard on your poor younger self on screen because I thought you were adorable.
I just think I made some bad choices. I have tons of compassion for that young woman, but well,
what are you going to do? You're only allowed yourself an hour in the chair, so you're like, let me get out of here.
That's really true,
right?
Really true. They were only doing. They could do it an hour.
And you're going to feel so much better about yourself when Sydney comes on screen because Sydney is just so all over the place.
No,
I have the
be gorgeous.
Goofiest
Sydney
hair.
looks adorable.
But I want to go back to Lucy's office because Lucy tells them that she's engaged, and Amanda asks about their sex life, and out of nowhere she says, with my last boyfriend Billy, one night in bed with him and I moved him right in. Unbelievable stamina. You just don't let a guy like that get away ever. I was done. Were you dying?
That was a lot.
Like, oh my God.
That was a lot. And it was clearly for Alison's like ire, you know.
That was a Melrose moment. I've counted them throughout. And that was
you did?
Like in front of somebody else going, oh, the stamina. And you're just like cringing, you know, she's going on and on about. Yeah.
Well, it was super cringy. And like for her to act like she's super besties with her boss, Lucy, like, oh, look how close we are. We can talk about our sex lives. It was like, just all of it was cringy.
Really uncomfortable.
Yeah. But anyway, so she drops this thing about her last boyfriend, Billy, and how he was so great in bed. And Alison's totally appalled. So speaking of appalling, we go to the hospital where Michael and Kimberly see each other in the hallway, and they breathlessly sort of agree that they can't stop thinking about each other. So, of course, they hurry into the elevator and they wait for the doors to close and hit the emergency stop button, and then they start ripping each other's clothes off in the elevator. Like,
I mean, there was another Melrose moment. The moment was, what are we going to do about this? Look at him, close up of her. He slams the close up on the emergency stop and that Melrose music, bam. And then they look at each other and they start going for it. Like that's a Melrose. It wasn't just to shut the stop, you know?
Yeah, no, did anybody think this is a hospital elevator? Like somebody could be dying.
Somebody might need to get in there for an actual like emergency.
Surgery.
Another Melrose fact. I mean, you know, real life is out the window. Yeah.
Yeah, they were so horny. It probably went pretty fast.
We're just doing a quickie. Calm down. That's all right.
Not the emergency.
Your heart will be fine.
Yeah. You'll be fine.
Yo, K-pop fans, it's your boy Bomhan, and I'm bringing you something epic. Introducing the K Factor, the podcast that takes you straight into the heart of K-pop. We're talking music reviews, exclusive interviews, and deep dives into the industry like never before. From producers and choreographers to idols and trainees, we're bringing you the real stories behind the music that you love. And yeah, we're keeping it 100, discussing everything from comebacks and concepts to the mental health side of the business. Because K-pop isn't just a genre, it's a whole world, and we're exploring every corner of it. And here's the best part. Fans get to call in, drop opinions, and even join us live at events. You never know where we might pop up next. So listen to the K Factor on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Are you ready? Let's go.
The American West with Dan Flores is the latest show from the Meat Eater Podcast Network, hosted by me, writer and historian Dan Flores, and brought to you by Velvet Buck. This podcast looks at a West available nowhere else. Each episode, I'll be diving into some of the lesser-known histories of the West. I'll then be joined in conversation by guests such as Western historian Dr. Randall Williams and best-selling author and Meat Eater founder Stephen Ranella.
I'll correct my kids now and then where they'll say when cave people were here. And I'll say, it seems like the Ice Age people that were here didn't have a real affinity for caves. You know?
So join me starting Tuesday, May 6th, where we'll delve into stories of the West and come to understand how it helps inform the ways in which we experience the region today.
Listen to The American West with Dan Flores on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Clayton English.
I'm Greg Lott.
And this is season 2 of the War on Drugs podcast.
Yes, sir. We are back.
In a big way.
In a very big way. Real people, real perspectives.
This is kind of star-studded a little bit, man. Yeah. We got Ricky Williams, NFL player, Heisman Trophy winner.
It's just the compassionate choice to allow players all reasonable means to care for themselves.
Right. Music stars, Marcus King, John Osborne from Brothers Osborne.
We have this misunderstanding of what this quote-unquote drug thing is.
Benny the Butcher.
Brent Smith from Shinedown.
Got Be Real from Cypress Hill.
NHL enforcer Riley Cote.
Marine Corps vet, MMA fighter, Liz Caramouche.
What we're doing now isn't working, and we need to change things.
Stories matter, and it brings a face to them.
It makes it real.
It really does. It makes it real.
Listen to new episodes of the War on Drugs podcast season 2 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear episodes 1 week early and ad-free with exclusive content, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
In 2020, a group of young women in a tidy suburb of New York City found themselves in an AI-fueled nightmare.
Someone was posting photos. It was just me naked. Well, not me, but me with someone else's body parts on my body parts that looked exactly like my own.
I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream.
It happened in Levittown, New York.
But reporting this series took us through the darkest corners of the internet and to the front lines of a global battle against deepfake pornography.
This should be illegal, but what is this?
This is a story about a technology that's moving faster than the law and about vigilantes trying to stem the tide. I'm Margie Murphy.
And I'm Olivia Carville.
This is Levittown, a new podcast from iHeart Podcasts, Bloomberg, and Kaleidoscope.
Listen to Levittown on Bloomberg's Big Take podcast. Find it on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
So then when we go back to the courtyard, Billy is swimming laps and Alison is telling him all about how Amanda's making it so hard for her at work ever since he had broken up with her, and she's acting like Billy was the love of her life. And Billy says, there's nothing I can do about it.
And then Alison says, well, at least you're not working for Amanda the Hun.
Yeah,
nice.
But
my appreciated up and down in my dress.
Yeah, but of course, like you're in this long, peasant dress, and he's like doing laps, and then he gets out of the pool totally dripping wet, and she doesn't notice. She's like,
he spends very little time in a shirt this episode, and Alison is just completely beside herself.
Until finally she gets a message somewhere.
Well, she will get it's pretty hard not to get the message. We all noticed Billy getting out of the pool, and but he tells her not to worry. Hey, some guys are attracted to wholesome types like you, farmers, for example. He said,
4-H clubbers.
Yeah, they go in and they're sitting on the couch, and Alison keeps looking at his chest like they're talking, and her eyes keep wandering, and her eyes like if it was a guy, if it was a woman, if it was reversed, they go, "Hey, eyes up here." She's just like her eyes keep wandering.
It's like she's looking like for the first time. She's kind of like, wait, what's going on here? Like, I don't get it. She's so clueless.
Exactly. Hey. I know. So it's really sweet, though. I really do like seeing her this vulnerable and sort of flustered. It's fun to see her this way.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah. I just like that him teasing her about the 4-H and the some guys are.
And her last line was, he teases her, and then she's like, "Hey, I was president of my 4-H club."
Yeah.
And then you hear this soft door shut chunk.
Super cute.
Oh my God.
So then we're back in the courtyard where Jake stops Joe and he asks her to look over the worksheet that he's attempting to do by himself. And she's like, nah, you got this, Ooh, sorry about that
movie. I don't have time for you.
Line item, but bye. Go to the movie. See ya. Bye.
Yeah. since I'm not working for you anymore.
Serves him right for saying
not helping
that
you,
thing.
stinker, binker.
Oh, and then she goes, let me see. Oh, line by liners. Oh, those are a bitch, but you'll be fine.
Yeah, bye.
That scares him.
Good luck. So then Billy decides to go visit D&D to tell Amanda to stop punishing Alison because of him. And Amanda says it's not her, it's Alison. She's the one who's so messed up and she's lying to both of them. And, you know, what she's telling Billy really isn't true. And then Billy notices a very huge framed photo of Amanda and himself.
Streamed
Amanda's
like
desk.
8x10 photo on her desk.
Yeah, subtle.
Of the two of them, as if they were a couple still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super inappropriate.
Weird.
Yeah.
But
so if Amanda weren't Amanda, played by Heather, would we be going like, okay, she's crazy. She's the cuckoo lady.
Well, this episode, she was particularly like mischievous and deceitful all of a sudden, like just completely deliberately stirring it up and telling lies and stuff. And just
do we think that she
manipulative.
really loves and misses Billy, or is it that she's just trying to mess with Alison? I couldn't really get a handle on that.
I think it's both, but I think what is interesting is that usually someone in her position, like, clearly has one over on Alison. Like, she's in the power seat, but she's not. She's so desperate. She's lying to Alison's face when Alison knows the real truth. It makes her look so desperate, but only because it's Amanda, who's so cool and so, played by Heather. You go, oh, okay. Oh, well, she's a little lonely. But anyone else playing that part, you go, you're crazy. You're crazy, lady. That's what I thought.
Yeah, she still does come off as like super like threatening and like sexy and charming, even though she's doing this manipulative stuff. But so we're back at the hospital. Alison is leaving her doctor's appointment.
And did you notice quickly that Andrew had to have the line, yes, it's a checkup from her surgery. Like he had to interject why she was going to the doctor.
I know what she's doing.
Thank you for doing that exposition, Andrew.
Well, really, but it also proves that she wasn't lying about the doctor's appointment,
True.
Like everything that Amanda tries to say is just like not true,
Yeah.
So I don't know about you guys, but when Alison is leaving this doctor's appointment, I am positive that she's about to step into the elevator and discover Michael and Kimberly in the act in this moment. Were you guys thinking that? Like, I was like, this is where she goes to the elevator and the doors are going to, that's how, but instead that doesn't happen. But instead she goes out to the parking lot and discovers them there. They're making out behind a parked van.
Yeah. Barely behind a parked van.
Oh my God.
Right outside of the door. Like
right outside of the production office.
And wasn't it crazy how he caught her eye and just held it? And like daring her to say something?
And then
he
was
Alison
so
to say something.
Evil.
Totally daring her. Mm-hmm.
He sees Alison catch him in the act of kissing another woman. Mm-hmm. And he looks right at her, and it's almost like this conniving, evil look that we're going to come to associate him with later. But like in this circumstance, it seems so wrong.
Well, it was very daring. Like he's literally with those eyes daring her. Like you're nothing to me. Like he's committed, and he's in another state. I think Yeah. So he was daring
no
her
shame, no embarrassment.
No.
That was shocking. That was cool. Like that felt so
creepy.
Melrose.
Yeah. Like, super evil. And like, what a surprising turn, because, for Alison to just assume he's just Jane's husband who manages the building. And then all of a sudden this guy behind the van, that was like a lot.
Yes.
So then back at the apartment, Billy agrees to go to the engagement party with Alison. Mm-hmm. And then Alison sees Michael going down to the laundry room with his toolbox. So she follows him down there to confront him.
In the beginning, didn't you think, why is she looking out? Like I'm looking out in the distance. He's talking to me. I'm looking in the distance. I'm like, what is happening? And then all of a sudden you realize I'm looking to see Michael.
Yeah. You're distracted by this whole thing.
Luckily, I have the laundry handy. Luckily, the laundry is handy.
Well,
I see him go to the laundry room.
Like, you didn't need laundry anyway. You're just going down there to confront him, right? But
that's my ruse, though, Laura.
I appreciate it all. It was good prop acting, everything. And then, but like,
I don't do a lot of that.
Michael is just as smug and defiant right to her face.
Yes.
When she confronts him.
He continues.
Yeah. And he says, I'm sure somebody wrote this down. I didn't write it down entirely, but like he says that doctors who work in extreme circumstances become close. And then he's super condescending. He says, well, I don't expect you to understand that.
Yeah.
Well, first he said, Kimberly had a tough morning. I was trying to comfort her. Then I wrote, with your tongue.
Yeah.
Because it was like, we wasn't hugging her. Like they were full on making out.
Yeah.
Behind a van in the parking lot.
And then he says, men, we need variety. We need to feel good about ourselves. And maybe we can't just say no about temptation. Any questions?
It's so disgusting what he says. And then he's like, and he compares it to the same thing. Like, well, that's what Keith did. You know, how does it?
He does.
You know, it's no different from what Keith.
Or what you and Keith did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super smart, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, ouch.
And then Alison goes, that was different. And I'm going, how exactly?
Yeah, she's trying to make it different. I know.
But it is different because of the way he's so entitled to his, like, I get to do this,
though.
Allison.
It's
you
not
know,
really
like,
different.
Well, he's acting
entitled,
like,
though.
He's acting so entitled to, like, I get to do this. This is what men do. Get over it.
I know, but he's referring to the actual act, and they both took place in the act.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just commenting on what he is in this scene about it.
And then poor Allison says, kind of whines, but you're the only happy couple I know. And then he says, and we'll stay happy if you don't say anything.
Yeah, like threatens her, like, don't open your mouth. Like, it'll be her fault if things get messed up.
It's so interesting how he's really committed to, you know, the character and also, of course, Thomas, but he's really committed to this, you know, no apologies. I did who I did. I did what I did and who I did. And
and how I did it.
You're not going to say anything because when he leaves, he's like, oh, and that washer doesn't work. You have to use the other one. I'm out. Like, F off. He, you know, it's so challenging and ballsy.
Yeah.
So you're just going, I think I don't know. I'm trying to get in the psychology of it, you know, like he just loves that secrecy he has with Kimberly. And
well, you know what's weird that I'm just noticing? Like, why isn't Allison talking about the possibility of telling Jane? It hasn't even come up yet.
No, I know.
Jane's her friend.
Well, yeah, they don't interact at all in this episode. And I wonder if it will. Like, it seems like that would be the next. I mean, she obviously tells somebody. Allison, you know, doesn't keep it to herself, but she doesn't go straight to Jane.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Speaking of Jane, the next scene is Jane is in the design shop, and her boss, Kay Beacon, is back in this episode, and Jane is working really hard on her new swimwear line. But her boss says she's worried that Jane's going to burn out, and she insists that Jane take a break for lunch with her husband.
Yeah.
So Jane tries to go to the hospital to meet Michael, but she learns that Michael is already out to lunch at a nearby restaurant.
Ugh.
So we see where this is going. We cut to Michael and Kimberly at a table. They've got wine. They're talking about their unbelievable attraction to each other. But Kimberly's the one who spots Jane entering the restaurant, and Michael doesn't even miss a beat. He hops up like a good little liar, and he escorts Jane over to join them. And Kimberly's absolutely horrified, but Michael is completely comfortable being a total liar right to everybody's face. And he's completely comfortable with this threesome.
Yeah. And Jane is like, oh, wine at your lunch in the middle of a shift of a workday. You know, oh, it seems like you are celebrating something. And you just see him, pull up a chair. You know, he's just going with it. There was this, I don't know if you guys knew about this or ever heard this, but Charles Grodin years and years ago, I think, had a joke. If you're ever caught in bed with another woman, just say no, just deny it no matter what. So the wife walks in and he's in bed and going, what are you talking about? You know, like the gaslighting, I guess. So that's what he's doing. He's like, yeah, there's no problem here. He's so comfortable with that. So even if Jane catches them,
he's like, yeah, come over and join us at our
just
table.
Getting dressed for work. Like, you know, just act like she's crazy. That's all you got to do. That's what he's doing.
He made a really great choice because he's showing no guilt, no remorse. He's just fully committed and thinks he has a right to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I like that Kimberly at least has some sort of icky feelings in it, you know, to go, I'm not into this. And she gets up and goes. Mm-hmm. And then she says Jane can just eat her salad, which is already on the table, which is really gross. Like,
you can have my sloppy leftovers.
I love shrimp. What?
Yeah.
I love old shrimp, secondhand shrimp. Wow.
I think the moment of the scene where Jane's like, oh, I'm working on this new swimwear line. Kimberly, you would look great in my new, you know, one pieces. They have this plunging back and whatever. And you just see Michael like satisfied, like imagining
that
Kimberly in this
good.
swimsuit. And you're like, oh, you.
And meanwhile, Kimberly's like all but turning green and throwing up. She's so sickened by here's the actual wife, and she's offering her a bathing suit, and she's just, and they're so easy together, Jane and Michael, and she's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
And
Kimberly seems to have a bit of a conscience, and Michael clearly has none.
None.
Just,
a conscience or just a little reality.
Something,
check.
yeah.
We'll see.
Then at this very lavish engagement party of Lucy's, we meet Lucy's fiance, Irving, who is, of course, our very own producer, Chip Hayes.
Yay, her real life husband at the time.
Her real life husband at the time. And that,
what a good looking couple.
They gave him some lines this time, and I thought he delivered them brilliantly.
Yes.
And so then Amanda appears at this engagement party. She doesn't have a date. And after she turns down a guy who asks her to dance, she then turns around and asks Billy to dance instead.
That was so funny because he goes, she goes later. Like it was such a toss off.
Amazing.
So she dismisses this guy.
Such a great delivery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she looked gorgeous. Like Alison's got on sort of a business suit dress, and Amanda's in sequins, sleeveless, skin tight sequins. Wow.
Sparkly. Yeah.
Of course.
So, of course, she's dancing with Billy, and she comments on how they just fit together. And while they're dancing, Lucy finds Alison alone with the champagne, I might add, while Amanda is dancing. And Alison tries to tell Lucy, it's not a big deal that he's, dancing with her and that she's dancing. No, it's fine, And Lucy's not so sure. She's like, oh, seems a little curious. Your roommate is also the ex-boyfriend that Amanda's referring to, but okay.
She's dancing with him. I'm confused.
Yeah.
And isn't that where Chip comes up and said, "Mother's here"?
Yes.
And she has to say,
Lucy, Mother's here.
He has a bit of a mother issue. Nobody's perfect. No guy's perfect.
Yeah. He had a tough line to deliver, and this is what he delivered it brilliantly. But I guess they've decided that Irving is a little bit of an uptight guy with a mother issue. I think it's hysterical. So then Amanda leads Billy, after dancing, she leads him behind some bushes, and she tells him that she misses him, but she doesn't want to lose the friendship.
Well, first she says, it's really not like me to be this forward.
No, it's not.
Is it though? Is it really not?
Are you really? Are you sure?
Are you sure?
And then in a gesture completely opposite of friendship, she starts kissing him. And of course, Alison appears at this precise moment to witness that. And she's absolutely disgusted and over it. And she turns to leave the party. And
she says, why does this keep happening to me?
Yeah.
She saw, Michael kissing Kimberly. Now she's seeing Billy kissing Amanda. And that will
she's disgusted.
Something.
And rightfully so. And then we find out in the courtyard that Billy has followed Alison home as they're both arriving back in the courtyard. And he says he didn't want to kiss Amanda, and that she just, kissed him. And Alison argues that he didn't exactly fight her off. And they end up in an argument.
It's a funny line. She goes, oh, yeah, I saw you fighting her off on the dance floor, fighting her off in the gazebo. You were resisting all over the place.
You were resisting her all over the place.
Yeah, not so much.
That was a great line.
But the whole conversation ends up in a fight about whether Billy is the kind of guy who can resist temptation, or if he's one who just wants sex. And this is where Alison admits that she's really upset about Michael. She tells Billy about the affair with Kimberly, and Billy insists he's not Michael, but he does know how to say no.
Yeah, because don't you think I would have acted on my temptations?
Right. So that's the critical moment, because he gives Alison the example. Hey, this example that, all this time I've been living with you, and I haven't
sleeping in the room next to you.
Sleeping in the room next to you. And I haven't given in to any of my temptations. And that's where there's this music cue and there's head tilt from Alison.
And he's like, what did I just say? Did I just admit? And
did
she's like, did he just admit?
Yep.
Yeah, very important.
I heard you say you had temptations, but instead of jumping on him in this moment, Alison challenges him, saying, well, if either one of us had temptations, don't you think one of us would have acted on it by now?
Yeah.
And he sort of throws it back in her court, saying, well, you think so?
Right.
But again, she totally doesn't take the bait. And she's like, yeah, all right, this is a stupid conversation. And she just turns on her heels and walks away.
Because that's what she does.
Yeah, super flustered.
She can't deal in this moment. But I loved how the tone, I don't know if you guys noticed stuff like this, but the tone of the music totally changes through the course of the scene. And by the end of the scene, when she goes off to her room and he's left standing there, we're back to our like searing electric guitar going like we're like super like high tension. I just thought it was so
great
funny.
job building the tension in this episode.
Yeah.
Everywhere,
I love
like everywhere. Like all the stories are very exciting.
I love music, soundtrack in TV shows because they're so obvious. Like movies are probably more subtle unless it's like a sweeping, scene across the sand or something. But movies are they help tell the story so obviously, right? Like,
yeah,
they tell us how to feel. Yeah, like
commercial,
like something,
and we're going, wait, something's gonna happen. I love it.
Yo, K-pop fans, it's your boy Bomhan, and I'm bringing you something epic. Introducing the K Factor, the podcast that takes you straight into the heart of K-pop. We're talking music reviews, exclusive interviews, and deep dives into the industry like never before. From producers and choreographers to idols and trainees, we're bringing you the real stories behind the music that you love. And yeah, we're keeping it 100, discussing everything from comebacks and concepts to the mental health side of the business. Because K-pop isn't just a genre, it's a whole world, and we're exploring every corner of it. And here's the best part. Fans get to call in, drop opinions, and even join us live at events. You never know where we might pop up next. So listen to the K Factor on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Are you ready? Let's go.
The American West with Dan Flores is the latest show from the Meat Eater Podcast Network, hosted by me, writer and historian Dan Flores, and brought to you by Velvet Buck. This podcast looks at a West available nowhere else. Each episode, I'll be diving into some of the lesser-known histories of the West. I'll then be joined in conversation by guests such as Western historian Dr. Randall Williams and best-selling author and Meat Eater founder Stephen Ranella.
I'll correct my kids now and then where they'll say when cave people were here. And I'll say, it seems like the Ice Age people that were here didn't have a real affinity for caves.
So join me starting Tuesday, May 6th, where we'll delve into stories of the West and come to understand how it helps inform the ways in which we experience the region today.
Listen to The American West with Dan Flores on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Clayton English.
I'm Greg Glod.
And this is season 2 of the War on Drugs podcast.
Yes, sir. We are back.
In a big way.
In a very big way. Real people, real perspectives.
This is kind of star-studded a little bit, man. Yeah. We got Ricky Williams, NFL player, Heisman Trophy winner.
It's just the compassionate choice to allow players all reasonable means to care for themselves.
Right. Music stars, Marcus King, John Osborne from Brothers Osborne.
We have this misunderstanding of what this quote-unquote drug thing is.
Benny the Butcher.
Brent Smith from Shinedown.
Got Be Real from Cypress Hill.
NHL enforcer Riley Cote.
Marine Corps vet, MMA fighter, Liz Caramouche.
What we're doing now isn't working, and we need to change things.
Stories matter, and it brings a face to them.
It makes it real.
It really does. It makes it real.
Listen to new episodes of the War on Drugs podcast season 2 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear episodes 1 week early and ad-free with exclusive content, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
In 2020, a group of young women in a tidy suburb of New York City found themselves in an AI-fueled nightmare.
Someone was posting photos. It was just me naked. Well, not me, but me with someone else's body parts on my body parts that looked exactly like my own.
I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream.
It happened in Levittown, New York.
But reporting this series took us through the darkest corners of the internet and to the front lines of a global battle against deepfake pornography.
This should be illegal, but what is this?
This is a story about a technology that's moving faster than the law and about vigilantes trying to stem the tide. I'm Margie Murphy.
And I'm Olivia Carville.
This is Levittown, a new podcast from iHeart Podcasts, Bloomberg, and Kaleidoscope.
Listen to Levittown on Bloomberg's Big Take podcast. Find it on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Back at the hospital, Kimberly tells Michael that Jane doesn't deserve this. And
but first of all, they're wrestling some out of control guy. Some out of control guy is on a gurney.
A patient.
And all these doctors are a patient. They're trying to wrestle him down. And all of a sudden, she storms off.
Yeah,
she just
Michael
abandons
she
abandons the
wrong?
patient.
It's like the appropriate answer is, well, there's a crazy person in the hallway, but instead,
yeah,
Or the appropriate answer is, I'm sorry I didn't help save the guy's life.
Yeah.
But I'm just so preoccupied with the affair I'm having.
It was like he walked into the scene and she was so distracted. She's like, forget this patient.
Yeah,
I need to talk to you about our relationship.
Yeah, totally. Nobody's mentioning the PCP guy at all anymore.
Yeah.
The guy's going to fall off the gurney. Like in the outtakes of it. He's like, what?
He's flapping on the floor. And she's like, I just don't know what to do because you have a wife.
I want to kiss you.
That's the show I want to do.
Totally.
Like that stuff happening in the background. Sign me up. Anyway, so she's sort of having her crisis of conscience, and Michael says that what they have is completely separate from Jane.
Yeah. She has nothing to do with us, which is so cold. He's so cold.
It's so rotten that he's trying to talk her into continuing this thing.
But guys are known for being able to compartmentalize. They are. I mean, haven't you heard this over the years? This is like a kind of a stereotype, but I think it's very true. No, men in general, like when they come home for work, they're like done. They don't want to talk about work. Of course, some men, but I think that this is kind of an overall stereotype. But a true one. I mean, I don't know, whenever I bring up work after David's work, or I have in the past, it's like, I don't want to bring it home. I don't want to talk about it. Like, what do you mean? I haven't seen you all day. You can't shock that. You know what I mean? Like, they can compartmentalize to say, this isn't my affair with you, doesn't have anything to do with my wife.
Right. Conveniently, Michael is very good at compartmentalizing. He's very, very good at it here. And he says, well, now that we've started, it's going to be really hard to stop now that we've started. It's like, ugh. And Kimberly still just sort of like walks away, and she walks out saying, I just can't. And I'm glad that she's at least attempting that. But
well, enjoy it, Laura, because
I know. we know it's not going to last long, but like, I'm glad there was that color, and that Kimberly was, making an attempt at it.
Enjoy it.
Clearly, Michael is not going to make any attempt. At a conscience. So back at D&D, Alison tells Amanda that trying to manipulate Billy is just not going to work. And Amanda says, yes, it will, because I understand men, and that she and Billy had really great sex. Again, she needs to bring that up for Alison to hear, suggesting that what Alison really needs is some great sex herself. But Alison tries to say, you know what? Billy is different, and he's different. And Amanda very condescendingly says that Billy is just like any other red-blooded man, and that it's clear to her that Alison is in love with him. And she says it in a way that's got like sort of nasty subtext.
Well, she has a great line. She says, you need a good dose of something, but it isn't talk.
Yeah.
And then she goes, she says, well, he came home with me, Alison says. And then Amanda says, well, what did you do when he got home to you? And she's like, well, talked. And she's like, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was very Melrose-y, Amanda digging into her. I loved it.
And again, I noticed a music cue here. There was like a serious like bass note dropping, which is like, this is fighting music. Like now somebody's being mean and there's a fight happening. We get it. So Amanda leaves the scene, leaving Alison to think about what she said. And then later at the apartment that night, Alison is on the couch working. She sneaks a glance at Billy, who here is working topless.
Billy is writing shirtless in jeans, which is
at his computer. Right.
Hello, throwing a cowboy hat, and it's over.
He wants to test those temptation lines y'all just had.
Hello. How did that happen? So Alison keeps looking over.
Yeah, but I love like the camera work
America.
too. Is the camera work was like her eyeball sort of scanning and moving like across his body
right
parts.
up his chest.
Very extreme close up too. Yeah.
Yes.
Again,
That
and
was-
it's like Alison's going, "What is this? Am I supposed to be attracted to that over there?" It's like so funny.
So I think she knows at this point.
I think she knows very
attractive.
clearly how she feels about it, but she's
this
just
is
trying
shifted.
to sneak her little glances in there. It's so cute.
Yeah.
And then Billy, gets up from his computer and says he's got to take a break, invites her out with him to go to Shooters, and she turns him down, oddly, and she stays home. He goes out alone, and Allison is like sort of shaking her head going, God, I got to get a
she
grip.
says under her breath, get a grip.
Get a grip.
So she's fully aware that she has the hots for him. Finally.
Super cute.
Finally.
Yeah. Then over at Michael and Jane's apartment, Michael turns down Jane's suggestion that she finish up her work and they have dinner and wine together. And he abruptly says he's going to go out and get some air.
Yeah, well, as if he's helping her. You need to get your work done, so I'm going to be a good guy and give you space.
And let me just be super vague and go, I'm going to get some air.
Yeah.
But I won't be long, and leaves her alone in the apartment. I don't know. Did you guys notice, speaking of prop acting, did you see in this scene, as this exchange is happening, he's getting a bottle of wine out and it's already been opened because there's a broken cork in it. Like it's, like last night's bottle or something like that. And he gets out a glass and they have this conversation. But by the end of it, he's like, I'm going out to get some air. And he puts it all back. So he never actually pours it. It's like, get it out. She says, hey, let's have some wine and whatever. And he goes, I'm going out and I'm going to get some air. And he puts it all back. And I was so consumed with like, wait, what were you going to do? And then what made you, it was like such a funny.
She starts coming on to him and he doesn't want to have sex with her. He wants to have sex with Kimberly. So that's why
he puts it all back. Changed my mind.
But I found it like I found myself watching it as like the storytelling of it. So anyway, I
thought you were going to say he pulled out a bottle that was already open. And you could see the cork, and he pulled out a cork opener. You know what I mean? A wine opener, because that would be something very kind of like overlooked.
This one, he did so this one had this broken cork in it, whatever. And I thought also he went to try to open, he couldn't quite get it out. And so part of me wondered, I wonder if he put it all back. He was supposed to be able to pour it in the thing, but didn't because he couldn't get the cork out. He's like, forget it. Well, I'm doing the scene. I'm just going to put it all back. I don't know. But later we'll see him open a bottle of wine. Like there's a fresh bottle of wine that he has to like take the twist top off or something. Anyway, I noticed these.
I don't know about you, but I have bottles of wine in my fridge with the cork, like several of them. Is it a rosé night that I had, or is it a white night, or do we want red? And we just keep them in there until they're done.
Well, I'm just feeling so sorry for Jane at this point because he's
I
just
know.
God. So then we find Billy, who's gone to Shooters, and apparently Michael has gone there too, and because it's the only joint in LA, and Billy scoots down the bar to talk to him, and he's first kind of tries to dance around it, I think, but then eventually he tells Michael that he really couldn't believe it when Alison told him about the, Michael and Kimberly. And Michael here, again, is the opposite of contrite. He sort of turns on his tough guy act and he starts saying, people need to mind their own business.
Right.
I'm the apartment manager. Like, what, is that a threat?
Your rent.
Is that, like, is that a threat to Billy too? Like, I collect your rent. Like, what? Yeah. What are you doing?
He's acting like a man who's doing something wrong is what he's doing.
Super entitled about it, even to Billy. And it's icky. So meanwhile, Alison is telling Joe how confused she is about Billy. She's gone over to Joe's apartment.
I love this scene so much. I think this is such a sweet scene because we so look like friends, and Alison is all kerfuffle and Joe is so calm.
Yeah.
Just trying to calm her down. And Alison is just ranting. We have this friendship, right? And it's a great friendship. And I guess neither wants to jeopardize that, but I'm thinking about doing something about it. But something Amanda said is getting smack in the way. And then you just so calmly say, well, you and Billy would make a great couple.
Yeah.
And just sort of brings Alison right down.
Cute smile on
that's
Joe's
kind
face.
Of the crux of the
saying
whole
it.
point, is that to hear that for you. I mean, what? Like someone else said it,
I know, it was such a sweet moment between us. I love the scene.
And it was like Joe was waiting to hear her say that. She was so pleased to go, oh, well, you would make it. Like, it was very cute.
Yeah, it really was.
But she also Joe helps her get up the nerve to take some initiative with Billy. And so she leaves the scene going, you know what? I am going to do something about it. I'm going to stop being so timid. And she leaves Joe's apartment to go home, and Joe's sort of encouraging her. Yeah, go be spontaneous, go for it.
Don't plan it. Just
and it's
do it.
Super cute how she just gives her some nerve.
Yeah.
So then Alison in the scene, by the way, I noticed has her cute jeans on, who we know they're Courtney's jeans. Very cute.
Yeah. I'm going to go see if I still have them.
I love
so they're probably Andrew's jeans. And they probably got mixed up that morning when they left home.
But here Alison goes back to her apartment, and Billy is on his way out. He brushes past her, telling Alison he's going out, and Alison is sort of like, She goes in and plays the answering machine because she had seen that he was maybe listening to that. She plays the answering machine, and then she hears what Billy had just listened to.
Yeah.
Realizing that Amanda has asked Billy to come over tonight.
And it's really I'm lonely. I need a friend. Ugh.
Yeah, but it's also Billy's going through a lot right now too. A lot's in his head. It's not like this is free, let's go cozy up to Amanda, because he's starting to have feelings for Alison. I thought that was a great shot before Alison actually comes in, when he's just there and Andrew's playing with the cord or something of the phone, and he's listening to Amanda saying, I guess I miss you and I just miss having someone and blah, blah, blah. But it was very thoughtful. It was very it was very moody moment. And then you come in, and then Alison
expectations
comes in, and he leaves. So we know where he's going. And you're just oh.
And again, Alison is thwarted, and just when she got up the nerve. So that's super sad. And then Joe shows up to Jake's apartment, and she shows up with new tax documents for him. And she's very pleased with herself. And she reveals to Jake that the new bottom line that she's figured out is 0 taxes owed. And she's very pleased. And Jake is rightfully suspicious. And then Joe reveals her creative accounting that helped arrive at this new number. And Jake is concerned about getting audited. And Joe says, just sign off on the taxes. Everyone cheats on the taxes.
Yeah.
And they ended up, sort of kissing. And that's the out of the scene is them kissing. And he's reaching for the pen. And
he's like, we'll get audited. She's like, not till next year.
It's fine. Push that off down the line. It's fine. Everyone does it.
Yes.
So
and then she starts kissing him and distracting him. And he's like, oh, okay.
It was a super cute scene out with him, just grasping for this pen. Okay, I'm going to sign, but first kiss.
Yeah.
And then we see Billy. He shows up at Amanda's. Of course, she's in a short, sexy silk robe.
And really vulnerable. I like how she played this. She does seem really vulnerable. I was like, oh, that's not what I expected.
Really soft and vulnerable and emotional.
Really soft and gorgeous.
Yeah. And sweet.
Yeah.
And so you can see why he's really sort of sympathetic. And of course, pretty soon they're kissing, and Amanda is inviting Billy to go to bed with her.
Yeah, she says, let's go to bed.
And then we're out without Billy knowing what's going to happen next.
Well, you have her kissing, then she pulls away and says that. And then you, on his eyes, looking off. But he played it so subtly. It wasn't oh, I don't know. It was just very subtly do I? This is the moment that Michael's always talking about. Go for the temptation, la, la, la. He's actually here in that moment. And Michael would obviously do it.
Right.
But what would Billy do, And I like how they cut it before you know what they're going to do.
Right. But also the funny thing is the next cut is straight to a SWAT team crashing through the courtyard of Melrose.
Very exciting. All these guys in black.
Helicopters. It's nighttime. They're banging on Jake's door, demanding that he comes out with his hands up.
Yes.
And
we're crawling out.
Yep.
But didn't you notice how sweet it was that he scoops Joe up and protects her? I was like, oh.
And he's down on the floor, and he's crawling on the floor in his boxers, which is
we're both crawling. He's like, let's get out of here or something.
Yeah. It's really funny. And obviously we realize that it's Jake's bad dream, and he wakes up with a start, and he's in bed with Joe, and he tells her, we have 30 minutes. We got to go. We got to take back these, fraudulent taxes that we've put in the mailbox, whatever. So he's like, I'm a dream. That's awful. We have 30 minutes to fix this.
Yeah. You guys are the comic relief in this episode.
Yeah. Totally about taxes.
Yeah. Sure. So then, but we have to cut to Billy waking Alison up in the middle of the night. She's dead asleep.
Oh, right.
And he has to wake her up to tell her that, hey, I just wanted to tell you that I went over to Amanda's, but nothing happened. And Alison doesn't fully believe him. And she's like, what? That doesn't make sense. And I know you were there and you were gone forever.
Yeah. She's clearly hurt and sad because it's
hard to,
he was gone.
It's hard to fully believe, in an instant. And Billy is.
She's seen Amanda. We all know what Amanda looks like.
I know what she is. Yeah.
But he's annoyed, saying he's not like Michael. And actually, here he also reveals that he missed having Alison around to talk to when she was in Seattle. But ultimately, he leaves Alison's room kind of, hurt and pissed. And he tells her, you know what, believe whatever you want. And he leaves, turns the light back off. And then we cut back to Jake and Joe waiting by the mailbox in the street, which is so cute.
Who's collecting mail at midnight, right?
Yeah. As the mail not really do. But but they wait for him and he pulls up and they end up, having a plan to try to convince him to give the mail back, which obviously would be illegal for him to do too, to pull something out of the mailbox. Yeah. But Joe decides to really say the truth, hey, listen, we cheated on our taxes and now we want to do the right thing. And he's compelled by it. He asks, all right, just show me your ID. And he gives him back the envelope. I thought that was so funny. But did you notice they got fully dressed again to go back on the street? Like they were wearing their clothes from the daytime. They didn't just go out in their PJs or something. They're like, no.
Well, maybe that mailbox was a few blocks away, and
maybe it was
over there in Los Feliz down near. Like we got to put something on. I don't know.
So then, speaking of dishonest, Jane calls the hospital the next morning, or the next morning, and learns that Michael isn't there. It's his day off, she learns, and that you can see on her face that clearly he has lied to her yet again. Like she called expecting to find him at work. But they say, nope, it's his day off. And her face just says it all. It's just devastating. Mm-hmm. We then cut to find Michael and Kimberly on a blanket at the beach, where Kimberly tells Michael that she has made a decision, that Michael is what she wants. Any way she can have him. No strings attached, no commitments.
Mm-hmm. I know. Out of nowhere. Any way I can have you for as long as I can have you. Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, what is the appeal? Like what is it that you must have? What is this guy?
Michael.
Yeah.
He's good looking, Thomas. No. I was like, wow, he's pretty good looking.
Handsome.
Yeah, totally.
But they have really hot sex. And so
I guess so.
What are you going to do?
I guess so. She doesn't really care if he has a conscience or not, I suppose.
No.
And he's thrilled, and we're all screaming at the television. And then, back at D&D, Amanda starts the day trying to taunt Alison again about how exhausted was Billy after last night?
Yeah, was Billy as exhausted as I was this morning? And for some reason, that shifts something for Alison. I don't know why Alison then thought she was lying. Did you get that?
I just got the feeling that Alison had come to it on it was she wakes up with it going, you know what? And just you acting like you want to twist this thing tells me, you know what? You're full of this. Now, you know what? Now I really know that Billy did tell the truth because you're just messing with me by trying to tell me.
Yeah.
She goes, because I know Billy didn't stay with you last night.
Yeah. So this is the scene that made me really go, anyone but Heather playing this role, any role but Amanda would look like Looney Tunes, because you see a shot of Amanda and right behind her is that picture of her and Billy in a wooden frame on her desk. And she's telling the woman that Billy lives with, we were together last night. Was he exhausted? And she's like,
no, he came home. I know that he came home.
That you did nothing. What's wrong with you, crazy lady? You're just like, anyone else, you go, she's crazy.
And Amanda tries to make her question, oh, you really think he would tell you what really happened?
Yes. I mean, she Alison, keeps going.
Yeah, she's sure. She says,
she's so desperate.
Yeah, I believe it. And and she also here, she says, I have something with Billy that you, Amanda, never will. And Amanda retorts that her best retort that she can think of is, well, I think that your chances with Billy are long gone. Like, oh yeah, whatever. You may have had something, but you'll never. Yeah.
So Amanda's not psychic. We know that much.
No,
that is not what happens.
And then we're back to Jane, who's waiting up in the dark at her apartment, waiting for Michael to come home, and he doesn't return home till late. And he blatantly lies about what a rough day he had at work. And she's just sitting there knowing that he's just fully lying to her.
And goes directly into the shower.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Red flag.
Super red flag. And heartbreaking. And so she checks his pockets for any other
There's no cell phones, remember.
Whatever.
She can't check his phone.
Right.
But the tell is when she sees that his shoes are full of sand.
And full of sand. Like, how old is he?
Yeah,
It's like
full of sand, all wet.
She pours out all
she pours it out on her own bedroom floor just to show us all what she's found. Yeah. So then Billy is returning home from work to his apartment to find Alison waiting for him wearing
with no pants.
No pants.
The biggest work shirt ever, but no pants.
Which is how remember, that's how she approaced him when he was in his bedroom last time. She seems to think this is her
oversized men's shirt.
Well,
like she has a little section of her closet. This is my sexy wear.
Yeah, it's a really subtle signal, no pants. But
no pants. But it's I think it's gonna work for her this time.
I think it's gonna work this time very well.
She's super cute in this look. And here she's standing in the door of the hallway and she apologizes for not believing him last night. And she says she's been too self-absorbed. Mm-hmm. And as he makes his way over to stand close to her, she says, I've been too blind to appreciate what's right in front of me.
Too damn blind.
Too damn blind. And she then grabs him by the shirt and pulls him in for a kiss.
It is a yummy kiss too. Well played.
Yeah, they kiss
finally.
For a bit.
We've been waiting for how many episodes? 29 episodes. Is this your first kiss? Billy and Alison?
It was Andrew's and my first kiss, which was awkward because we'd been dating for about a year at this point. So I really held him at bay.
Yeah, it was difficult to sort of figure out how to, I can tell.
But I mean,
it was Billy and Alison's first kiss, but I thought it was really so sweet.
Yeah, it was really gratifying. Like it was a good scene.
I love
finally have gotten to what we've been waiting for.
Andrew really like loses himself in it. And then you're like, you pull away and you're looking up and then you're like, good night, Billy. I'm like, this poor guy.
Yeah. She just decides,
good night, Billy.
That's it. Good night. And literally he's left standing there looking totally flummoxed. Like, what?
I know.
I know. The next episode better start with him just barging into her room because that was kind of better. What was that?
Yeah,
let's try that again.
Yeah,
Billy. That was a great way to end this episode, and it really felt like a super fun Melrosian Melrose.
Yeah, like if people are watching it in groups, they're screaming at that moment, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like finally,
yeah,
really sweetly done. I like that she made the first move.
Yeah,
I thought that was really, really well done. Well done, writers.
Yeah. So if you're going to jump in and watch an episode on Paramount Plus,
29's a good
go
one.
for 29.
29's the one, really.
Start there.
You have your betrayal and your affair, and you have your,
Yeah, it's got sex and taxes.
Good guy and taxes.
Yeah, always good to balance.
You got crime, trying to get away on your taxes. You got sex. You got action with the SWAT team. It's totally jam packed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
lying,
really
shirtless, lots of shirtless,
everything.
Lots of shirtless.
Lots of, we should start with that. We've got Andrew shirtless, also Grant shirtless.
more than once. Yeah.
So good.
Grant shirtless, crawling on the floor.
Yeah, Andrew shirtless in jeans. Hello.
Yeah. Okay.
So ladies, this is a place to start.
This is a good one to jump in.
Be honest, did you guys click and watch the next episode? Did it make you okay? But what I think to be true is that this is an episode that makes you like, oh, now I need to tune in to the next one,
Totally.
And I think that is where Melrose got like really Melrose-y.
Yes.
Is that every episode would end with something that made you go, oh, I need to watch the next one.
Yeah, well, now we have Jane discovering that Michael's having an affair. We have Billy and Alison getting together. We have Daphne and Grant. They're pretty much set up.
more trouble, more crime.
And Jake, they've got the taxes back. It'll be more exciting next episode.
Yeah, kind of weird that a couple of our regular characters didn't even appear. Like Rhonda wasn't in it at all. Matt wasn't in it at all. And it's just sort of an indication like it was really hard to figure out that many storylines. And so they really were leaning into the ones that they could see how to do this juicy thing and like have this kind of cliffhangery moment at the end of every episode. And I'm looking forward to watching episode 30, which is nice because I resisted the temptation to watch it now.
Good.
We're
something to look forward to.
Strong. We're impressively strong.
We're really good at resisting temptation.
Oh, yes. All right, guys. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
You're listening to an iHeart podcast.